Gender statistics provide information about the differences between women and men, but statistics can often be difficult to use and complicated to explain and understand. Statistics can be disseminated or published through a variety of means. For example, printed publications, online databases, leaflets, and CDs. However, the job is not finished once the statistics are published. Users need to know that the statistics are available and are relevant to them. Communicating statistics includes activities such as building relationships with users, preparing press releases for the media, awareness-raising campaigns, conducting training courses in statistics and education programs in schools. Dissemination means to scatter or spread widely, whereas communication means to make known or impart knowledge. In the world of statistics, both are equally important. Most people need a little help to grasp the meaning of statistical information. You can increase the use and value of the statistics you provide by explaining the key findings. Simple, straightforward presentations and good statistical story writing can help your audience to understand your data. Communication should focus on the key messages. Long descriptions about methodology or technical issues should be avoided when communicating statistics. The important information is the story behind the numbers, the main findings. Before deciding how to disseminate and communicate your statistics, the first step is to identify your audience or users. Who are they? What kind of information are they looking for? How would they prefer to receive it? It helps to categorize or segment users into groups based on their information needs. For example, government agencies, non-government organizations, media and journalists, support centers, public and university libraries, students, international organizations, and the general public. Some statistical offices also group their users based on how they use statistics, such as tourists, harvesters, and miners. Let me explain. Tourists are people who use statistics irregularly. They usually have little knowledge of statistical data and may not be sure what exactly they are looking for. They may only be interested in finding a few figures, but if they have a good experience with the information you provide, they may visit again and tell their friends and family about your statistics. Harvesters are people who use statistics regularly, often to find new information on their topics of interest. For example, they might download data on the economic activity rate or gender pay gap every year. They usually know something about statistics, how they are calculated and why they are useful, and can be considered a loyal audience. They visit your website or office regularly, but may not know about the full range of products you can provide. Miners are data experts. They want to have access to microdata so that they can extract all the detailed data they need and make their own analyses and conclusions. They understand statistics. If you want your statistical data to be used, you have to think about your audience. Looking at how they access and use statistics helps to better understand their needs. Who are you talking to? Once you have an idea who you are aiming your information at, you need to find out more about their expectations. The best way to do this is to talk to them. Methods such as focus group discussions, meetings with key users, and user satisfaction surveys can provide valuable insight into user needs. You can also find some useful information in website usage patterns, publication requests, and email or telephone inquiries. On their own, statistics are just numbers. They are everywhere in our life. Numbers appear in sports stories, reports on the economy, stock market updates, to name only a handful. To mean anything, their value and meaning to the person in the street must be brought to life. It can help to think about communicating statistics as telling a story. That is, making your data meaningful by presenting it in a way that makes it easy to follow and understand. A statistical story is one that does not just recite data in words, it sends a message. A statistical story shows readers the significance, importance, and relevance of the most current information. In other words, it answers the question, Why should my audience want to read about this? Let's look at an example. This article from Statistics Norway does a good job of attracting the reader's attention. It has a catchy title and photo to draw the reader's interest, and the first paragraph makes it clear what the article is about and why it might be interesting. The article also uses an attractive format, a bit like what you might see in a magazine. Subheadings in bold and boxed text help the reader to scan the page and remember the key points. Charts emphasize the important findings in the statistics by showing what the numbers say. Important details are at the end of the article, such as contact details for people who might want more information and references to literature and sources of data. This article provides a good example of how to communicate the valuable information that lies within the statistics that are produced and published. Rather than talking about the numbers, it highlights the findings and explains why they are important. There are at least two reasons why statistical offices should tell stories about their data. First, the mandate of most offices is to inform the general public about the population, society, economy, and culture of the nation. This information should guide citizens in doing their jobs, raising their families, and making many other decisions. The mandate to inform is often visible in mission statements of statistical offices. For example, the United Kingdom Office for National Statistics, which revised its mission statement in 2008, shows that informing the public is clearly part of their mandate. Improve understanding of life in the United Kingdom and enable informed decisions through trusted, relevant and independent statistics. The second reason for telling statistical stories is that offices should demonstrate the relevance of their data to their government and the public. This can increase public support for their programs and improve respondent relations and visibility of their products. Preparing articles and publications about statistics takes time and resources. Good writing can be encouraged in statistical offices by making it an expected part of the job rather than a sideline. It can also help to set goals, such as a number of stories to be written each year, reward good writers for the best headline or most contributions, explore techniques for building enthusiasm for writing, show staff the results of their writing by posting newspaper or magazine coverage initiated by their stories on an office bulletin board, and provide training. How you present information will determine how it is used and interpreted. We have all heard the old adage, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." One of the best techniques for understanding data is to visualize the numbers as a picture. This can make it far easier to see patterns in the data, and it can highlight patterns that may otherwise be hard for users to identify. You can visualize data in many different ways, from simple bar charts to more complex scatter plots, thematic maps, and animated population pyramids. Readers can easily understand visual presentations. Tables are useful for presenting numbers, but often charts are a more powerful way to communicate a message. Let's look at an example. This table shows the economic activity rate in the Czech Republic in 2008. It is clear and well presented, meeting all the basic rules for preparing good tables. There is a clear title, geographical area, year and source are all identified, and the data are well formatted. Although this is an example of a good table, the message it is trying to convey, that is, the difference between the economic activity rate of women and men, may be easier to grasp if it was presented as a chart. Depending upon your audience, it may also help to explain what the economic activity rate is. There are different types of charts that should be used for different purposes. A bar chart is the simplest type of chart to draw and read. It is used to compare frequencies or values for different categories or groups. The bars can be either vertical or horizontal. In the horizontal orientation, the text is easier to read, as in the example above. It can also be easier to compare the different values when the bars are sorted by size, from smallest to largest, for example. A line chart is an effective tool for visualizing trends in data over time and is the most appropriate type of chart for time series. As this example shows, presenting changes over time in a bar chart makes it hard to distinguish the message clearly. When looking at the same values displayed as a line chart, it is much easier to see the patterns and remember the main message. Pie charts show the percentage distribution of several categories within a whole, and therefore the values must always add up to 100%. Pie charts are recommended only when there is a small number of categories, usually less than 6, and there is a reasonable difference between the values so that the reader is able to distinguish between the segments. Where the segments are too similar in size, it is difficult for the reader to see the differences. Look at this pie chart. Which of the 5 segments is the largest and which is the smallest? Presented as a bar chart, the difference between categories is much clearer. No matter which type of chart you are producing, you should always include a short, concise title that explains what the chart is about, labels on both axes to identify the units of measure, and the source of the data. It can also be useful to include grid lines to guide the reader's eye when comparing values, data labels to clarify different categories and values, and footnotes to provide definitions of terms and explanations that will help the reader understand and use the information correctly. The presentation of statistics through tables, charts, and maps requires time and expertise to do well. Many statistical offices have style guides which clearly explain the standards staff should follow when presenting statistics in publications and official documents. These guides provide detailed recommendations down to which colours and fonts should be used for titles and labels. The UNECE Working Group on the Communication and Dissemination of Statistics has produced a series of guides on presenting and communicating statistics. The Making Data Meaningful guides are available in print and online in English and Russian. Part 2, A Guide to Presenting Statistics, provides advice on getting the message across through clear and well-written text, gives an overview of the visualization of statistics, and explains in detail how to produce good tables, charts, and maps. This guide also looks into emerging visualization and communication techniques, such as animation and Web 2.0 communities, as well as accessibility issues such as providing suitable metadata and presenting statistics in a variety of formats. The Making Data Meaningful guides can be downloaded from the UNECE website, and printed copies can be obtained by emailing your request, including your postal address, to support.stat@unece.org. Both the dissemination and communication of statistics are vital to ensure that the valuable information you produce is widely used. Statistical offices should recognise the importance of these activities by employing people with the right expertise and dedicating resources to building relationships with users and creating products that are well presented and that meet user needs. This should create a cycle of demand, where a better understanding of users should lead to the production of better statistics, and better statistics should lead to an increased reliance on statistical organisations to produce results.